Hello gays, this is your friend Saiyan Paradox Audio Fanfic and we are back in new fanfic. What if Dragon Ball Gohan never woke up, was sent back in time with all his memories, and changed the fate of every universe? Part 1. Return to sender. Gohan's bedtime routine has always been the same for as long as he can remember. First he would bathe. He's never been keen on morning showers as it could chance waking up Goten, and sleeping Goten is a much easier Goten to deal with than awake Goten. Next he'd have a cup of hot water, sipping at it slowly as he reads a book for 30 or so minutes. The book of choice is usually nonfiction because he's got to keep up to date on those studies, and who doesn't love the biography of Tom Lehrer? After sliding the book under his bed, now donning a free library given bookmark within, he'd turn off his bedside lamp and finally set his alarm clock for 6 a.m. sharp, all before closing his eyes for the night. It's all very samey same, really. His girlfriend often tells Gohan that he lives the life of an old man, but he tends to like stability, and the routine helps him study better. His morning routine is no more exciting, with the occasional mix-up of whether he'd have a full breakfast courtesy of his mother, or if he'd just grab a handful of fruit. Depressing startup to the day before dashing off to school. Tonight's routine offers little in the way of difference. Only, it does happen to be a particularly cold night, being mid-December. With frost tickling the frame of the window and the sharp wind beating at the glass, he nestles further into his covers and enjoys the contrasting warmth to its fullest. His eyes strain to see much through the window, trying to focus past the darkness and into the forest beyond. He can't see much, but he enjoys hearing the rustling trees shiver in the night. With a beat of satisfaction, he turns back to his book and closes it with finality. Gohan releases a sigh, and a cloud of breath along with it. He's finished his book, and his cup of hot water, and he now has 14 minutes before it strikes 10. Filled with a sudden sense of loss of what to do, he twiddles the bookmark between his fingers, dark eyebrows furrowed, as he thinks of a way to sink the time. He could text Vital goodnight. Butterflies flutter about his stomach. They've been dating for nearly 4 months, but they don't really message each other like a majority of their classmates do. It's actually Vital who bought him the phone in the first place. Stop acting like a grandpa and learn how to use it. She's charming. That girl, he mulls with a shy sort of smile. He'd love to be a bit better with technology, but of course, he's practically 2 left thumbs, and can barely work out how to turn the flipping thing on. Beyond very rarely calling her or occasionally accepting calls, he doesn't often touch it. Even his Saiyaman watch can prove to be a bit of a challenge to use sometimes. Well, he thinks, bravely, as he eyes his rectangular device, he can try giving texting a go tonight. How does it go again? Gohan paused the screen in hopes of Vital's name jumping out at him. He eventually finds it in the folder named Contacts, and is slightly proud of himself when he's allowed to type out his message. Hello, I thought I would wish you a good night. Yours sincerely, Gohan. There. Easy. He glances at the clock. 21:52. Oh, maybe it's a bit late to be messaging a girl, even if it is Vital. He doesn't want to give a bad impression. Messaging a girl this late, anxiety bubbles in his stomach as he sets his alarm and turns off his bedside lamp. In the darkness, he swallows the lump of nerves. A fine torrent of steam emits from his nostrils, just before it evaporates into the black. Wow, it really is cold tonight. He turns on his side, and the image of a joyous Vital makes him smile. The lack of reply probably just means that she's asleep. Yeah, of course. Oh well, he'll speak to her tomorrow at school anyway. His eyes find the darkness the window offers once more, focusing on the dancing silhouettes in the background. A sharp gale of wind rocks the house, lulling Gohan to succumb to his demanding drowsiness. It's only moments later that the phone chimes in his hand, and the screen lights the room in a blue hue. But the message remains in the inbox. Not a single movement is made. Every night Gohan is gone to the world by 10 o'clock sharp, and every morning he'd wake up at 6 o'clock when the ringing of his alarm would stir him. Except tomorrow it won't be Gohan turning off his alarm, but his father. In fact, Gohan won't be waking up at all. The smell of dewy morning grass greets Gohan from his slumber. It's earthy and almost too zesty fresh straight after waking up, making him grumble and nestle further into his pillow, except, said pillow has become strangely not very comfortable and particularly itchy, and flowery. He lunges forward, and then dark eyes open into a world of color. The grassy smell now erupts around him, and Gohan drinks in the vision of purples and greens exploding around him as the scent consumes. Its perfume, so potent, wonderfully fills his chest as he spirals his head. The face of foliage meets him. Trees everywhere, tall and proud, slowly sway their pink leaves at him in welcome, light against the dark shadows of the expanding forest behind. Beyond that, smatters of beautiful pastel specks have been sketched out as delicate, water-kissed flowers. The dewy aroma hums from them as they sit before a stretched landscape of muted hills, hills which journey eternally against the lilac backdrop, growing and shrinking beneath a blanket of stars despite it very clearly being daytime. The gradient of purple to green to pink feels soothing and so natural to stare at, and for a long moment Gohan thinks himself to still be asleep. Dreamlike glistening from the dewdrops cast dizzying glares from the sun, and finally he finds it all too much to look at. Where am I? Water jumps in excitement when Gohan stands. It splashes the exposed skin of his calves, kissing the vulnerable area where his pajama bottoms no longer cover. Last year's growth spurt made sure of that. As he walks along the padded grass, fine blades slicing between his toes, he looks around to try and gauge just where he's ended up. He remembers going to bed last night, but he certainly doesn't remember taking a midnight stroll into the forest, not that this forest looks anything like the one backing onto the Sun House. The strange colorings look very little like anything he's ever seen on Earth, instead reminding him of the planet Gohan had briefly been to when training with the Z-Sword. Is that where he is now? As Gohan looks around, he starts to feel unsure, and that's when the heavy scent only grows stronger. It's suddenly so thick Gohan feels like he can taste it in the air. Sweet like spring, addictive like nothing he's ever tasted before, it pulls at his legs lovingly, gesturing like a mother, into its nest of blooming, cerulean flowers, making its home near a collection of powdery, white trees. Larger than the other trees, they don't dance for him. Instead, they sit in waiting. Lethargic against the ushering, he follows the fragrance trail all the way over to the snowy trees. Like the dew, they sparkle. Beautiful, he breathes, chest depleted. In response, the ivory branches flare silver. The gentle spines on the leaves also breathe life as gold trails up and down, beating in rhythm as sunny dust illuminates the area in a warm glow. It circles, dances, flourishes, casting golden ash everywhere as Gohan whirls in confusion. In tandem, the aroma squeezes him ever tighter, stealing the oxygen from his lungs and replacing it with its own perfumed delicacy. The gold, silver, and entrancing scent concocts together, and Gohan feels like he's experiencing an entirely different sense than he'd ever thought possible. His heart crashes about its cage, beating in perfect synchronization with the whitened trees, of which waltz in their own artistry. Gohan tries not to be consumed entirely by the experience, tries to understand what's happening. But nothing like this has ever happened to him before. It's killing me. I think I'm dying. Yet something tells him that can't be true. The life around him is so vivid. Emotionally transparent, it's so clear to Gohan that whatever's happening to him is nothing evil, nothing wrong. When he goes to speak, however, he finds that he can't so much as utter a single word, and that does scare him. Not a sound murmurs out. In a vapid motion, Gohan brings his hands up to his chest. It thrums with such pressure he doesn't know where he begins and the tree ends. Does it hurt for you to look upon me? asks the ivory tree. He stares up, lost. Not every day does Gohan converse with a tree. Finally, words are granted to him, gifted as the ease in his chest allows him some liberty. No, Gohan soon rasps. Where am I? Who are you? The tree is silent, golden zigzags running down and through the leaves in occasional glimmers. Then you are ready, it finally concedes to him. I don't understand. Gohan's brows furrow. Who are you? I. A billow of energy, he can't sense, rains down in thin, fine drops, but heavily. His knees give out and he collapses against the field of blue, petals scattering madly. They climb up into the lilac sky, volleying between gold and silver as the tree grows tall. Branches crackle, snap as Gohan watches in a stupor from the floor. The gold streams through the leaves, down the branches, coursing down the thick trunk and through spindly roots before shining under the flower beds. The glow is bright, it makes Gohan wince, but only briefly before making him wail. The gold had crept up his pajamas and along his skin much alike a shadow chasing twilight. Rapid, it makes its move its attack. The streak bleeds his world bright, blinding him as the golden haze pulsates and absorbs into his eyes. They burn, hot and bright like the sun, as white flashes carve against his vision. His hands, no longer lulling, scramble and claw at his face, and the unmistakable wetness beneath his nails doesn't surprise him. The breaking of skin while it hurts doesn't account to a fraction of the searing horror assaulting his eyes. Never before has Gohan wanted to tear a piece of his body free like this. Stop it, he calls out, falling against the flowers. Make it stop. If anything, the pain twofolds, and he screams. He screams so much that he doesn't remember succumbing to the agony. He's swallowed, watching as the gold fades to black as the ivory tree's words follow him to the abyss. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well the minds which are prevented from adapting, they cease to be just that. You are the skin no more, my child. The black is cold, empty. And then it's gone just like that. Amongst the foliage and pastel colors, he stands alone in his golden, bleeding glory. The tree is only but a tree now. The glistening whiteness seems to have evaporated into the darkness, journeying off together with it to who knows where. The gold, gifted to him, stays however. It colors his pale skin warm, coating him in something ethereal and holy. He looks down at his hands, examining them as the gold slowly dims. Just where am I? Who was that? His hands clench into tight fists, a frown pulling at his cheeks with equal tightness. More like, what was that? Squawks sound from behind him, reminding Gohan that he's still lost within this strange forest. Chirps and odd little noises from insects chorus from all around. The flowers practically vibrate with life. As he clambers back to his feet, he tries not to think about the ache around his eyes, or the red which stains his fingers. He walks through the blue flowers, far away from the nestle of trees, and back the way he came through until he reaches a clearing. Kempt fields comb through the wild grasslands, ones framed by aged, brown brickwork of walls and paving. Vines in a rainbow of colors thread through and around the dour structures, knotting together to form a direct path for Gohan to follow. The walkway must lead somewhere, or at least, Gohan hopes so, because he's following it with growing urgency. None of these surroundings look like anything to do with the forests he's seen growing around his home, and the suspicion that this might not be Earth only increases when he stumbles upon a large, foreboding building in the distance. Writing, completely foreign to him, is scrawled as in a flowing mixture of shapes and dots. It sits upon a sign leading towards said building and reads unlike anything he's comes across in his studies. His fingers trace the groove of the etchings. Where am I? Only the creaking of the sign answers back, and all he can do is stand there in a stunned silence. A heavy gust of breath drains from him. Onwards he walks, passing countless more trees, flowers and the gleaming of yellowed eyes between them. As strong as Gohan is, He doesn't want to run in with any weird creatures that might be dwelling out there. He picks up his pace when he hears a low rumble from deep within darkness, and when it sounds out again, he takes to the sky in an awkward takeoff. Strange. My key feels off here. It's as if he suddenly had to use his left hand instead of his right hand to write. Calling upon his energy feels kind of skewed, making his form pull ever so slightly to the right as he courses through the sky. Gohan's always been a good flyer, and he's always had decent form, so why his body is suddenly rebelling against him is lost on him. A pang of worry strikes. First he wakes up in the middle of nowhere, next, those abnormal albino trees lured him in with their horrible, wonderful scent, and now, he can't do something as simple as propel through the air. Gosh, he hopes those trees didn't do something to him. He really doesn't like any of this at all. He hovers only a few feet above the ground, flittering gracelessly as he tries to catch his footing. Just as his toes tap the coolness of brick does he feel fingers clasp around his throat. Gohan's reactions are good. He presses backwards against the assailant, knocking his head back and catching them with a direct and hard strike. Immediately, the person lets go, momentarily winded, and so Gohan pulls forward, swiveling low and striking with a stretched leg. But there's no one there to catch, no one until they reappear behind him once again, catching both his blindside and his forearm. So he tries the same thing once again. But the attacker is fast, dodging and catching Gohan's other arm in a merciless vice. A growl of frustration bubbles at the back of the teenager's throat as the grip tightens. Whoever this is has a heck of a grasp, twisting Gohan's arms just enough to hurt something rotten but not enough to break them. Who are you? He growls. Why are you doing this? You dare disrespect this land and yet you question me. Comes the reply, surprising Gohan as he recognizes the smooth tones of a woman. Why are you here? These lands are sacred and you have no right, mortal. Mortal. Gohan stiffens. So this really is the planet of the Kais. Ow, ow, ow. Do not play stupid, mortal, she hisses, twisting both his arms so tightly that he starts to see stars. I'm not, he insists through clenched teeth as his body is forced to sink and buckle against the grass. A boot imprints sharply against his spine. Arg. Just give me chance to. Who sent you? The Zeelites employing mortals now. Speak up. I do quite enjoy a good laugh. I don't know who that is. Liar. Something in his shoulder cracks as he's forced against the dirt. Good heavens, just who even is this woman? Gohan knows he's been slacking just a little bit with his training recently, finals in school are coming up, but this is ridiculous. She's making mincemeat out of him. Enough of this. A jet of energy waves out, harsh and jagged as it cuts at both the air and the woman. The grip is released and with resolve, the teenager bounces back to his feet and several steps away. Another blast leaves him just so he can ensure the distance. However, the wave is bigger than expected. It laps out as a huge, unforgiving slew of force, slicing down many of the surrounding trees. Bricks become dislodged from the road, pulling into the orbit of the gust. They batter down at Gohan's assailant before he even has the chance to look at her. Wah! It's as if his ki has been amplified, uncontrollable against Gohan's usually tight reins, as it lashes out with yet another wave. Gold sparks dazzle in the chaos, causing friction against the bricks as they circle around the plane. Then, it stops. The bricks fall, the gold fades, and Gohan is whirled feet backwards and into the remains of an aging wall. Dust explodes everywhere upon the impact. Eventually, he stumbles up, emerging from the clouds of smoke, horrified at the betrayal of his own ki. It's never done that before. What the heck was that? Got some fireworks about you, huh? Gohan turns just in time to catch a gloved fist in the palm of his hand. Attached is a thickly built woman. She's not much smaller than him, with tanned skin and a long, dirty blonde play which chases her as she aims another punch in his direction. He catches that one too. It doesn't deter her, however, as a nasty heat butt sends him back to the floor. Blood streaks down and catches his eyelashes as he watches her saunter over him. She's bleeding too, just as heavily from a matching wound on her head. She smears it away from her eyes. Just what the hell is your head made from? He doesn't answer her, instead swiping her legs and turning to make a run for it. Coward, she growls, refusing to fall. Her calves are pure steel. They don't budge an inch against Gohan's, firm and impossible to sway. He doesn't even have enough time to get away as she grabs at his shirt, dragging him up high. As much as Gohan loathes the idea of hitting a woman, he's finding that he may have little choice here. She's clearly very strong, and from her outfit Gohan can tell that she's someone of importance. Bright, her gray armor glistens in the daylight. It's shiny and comes across as expensive looking as he stares down at his own blurred reflection. Beyond that, sits a crest in the center of her plate. Gohan notices that it's a silhouette of a horse, one mid-gallop with its mane wild and free about the wind. Gohan's shuffled in her grasp, and she barks a laugh. See something you like? What? He's shuffled again. Eyes up here. Huh. Wah. Ah. Oh God. His eyes snatch upwards as his face burns from the shame of it, ears sizzling. I wasn't looking at them. No. Ah. Such a cute one. She snorts, amused. Something tells me that you wouldn't know what to do with them anyway. His legs tuck upwards out of instinct as he feels his cheeks grow pinker and pinker. It's not like that. It's of no difference to me. The rabbit's opinion of the fox has little relevance in the end. She tilts her head, play and blood flailing sideways. Before I end you by my own hand, do you have any lasting words? Gohan won't go down easily. If she really wants a fight, he'll give her one, but why does it have to be that way? Can't they talk about this? There's been some kind of mistake. I just woke up. I don't know how I got here. Impossible, she spits. One doesn't just wake up here. This is the realm of the Almighty. Don't believe I'm stupid for a second, mortal. We've seen your type crawling around here for years now, scurrying about like the rats you are, hoping to gather any information you can for your masters. She lowers him just enough to get a good look of his face. Don't think you can fool me. Her mouth hangs there, words decayed, and for a second Gohan thinks he's somehow broken her because she doesn't move for a good while. She just stares at him, eyes wide and unblinking as the red leaks into them. I impose, no. She drops him, and because he doesn't expect it, he falls gracelessly to his bottom. Her hand levels up as a beam of ki dances about her gloved palm. It spirals threateningly in Gohan's face. Who are you? Tell me your name. The glow dramatically skews when he doesn't immediately answer, and her ki feels sharp and nasty all of a sudden. Stop it, he says. Sticking a ball of energy in his face has very rarely gotten him to speak in the past. Today is not the day that it starts. Put out the attack. Name. When you lower your hand, he tries carefully, eyes low and submissive. They don't need to fight, especially considering that he has no idea what had just gone on back there with his ki. Just what at the heck was that? Whatever it had been deeply unsettles him. Just lower your hand, Gohan repeats, softer this time. We don't have to do this. Just as Gohan expects her to comply, he hears a piercing whistle in the forest behind. It's a long and drawn-out sound, one which the woman repeats. He has to cover his ears from the shrillness of it. Another whistle is returned, and as soon as Gohan turns to look behind, he's brutishly wrestled down to the floor by the woman. He tastes the grass and its sprinkled dew when he hits the ground hard. You stay down, she orders. Her knee sits on the base of his neck just in case he dares defy her, which he would if not for the group of armor-clad soldiers emerging from behind the trees in droves. 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, he keeps counting until so many appear that he may as well not bother at all. Where's Lord Rixus? asks the woman. Southwards, Captain, replies one of the men. He has blue skin and thin, pointed ears, definitely not human. He's been training in the courtyard since dawn. Figures. She scoffs and flicks her play from over her shoulder. Someone give word to him that I've found a person of interest, and that I require his immediate assistance. But, Captain, and don't let him give you any of his usual bullshit. Tell him to meet me at the Winter Pavilion as soon as he can. The Winter Pavilion, Captain. Gohan grunts as her knee presses deeper in his neck. He wishes they'd stop angering her. Did I stutter? Yes, the Winter Pavilion. I don't want this getting back to the barracks. That means none of you are permitted to speak about this to anyone. As far as you're all concerned, we came up empty on today's patrol. Do you understand? A low rumble of murmurs ripples about the crowd. Good heavens, just how many soldiers are out there? You're bleeding. Did this mortal? The knee lodges impossibly hard, so much so Gohan splutters as she snarls an ugly sound. Do you understand? The blue soldier's arm waves in a long half circle before resting on his chest. He and the countless others finally holler out an affirming, "Yes, Captain." Before making haste, quiet rustling of foliage and the unforgettable hushing sound of energy echoes into the background as Gohan and the captain watch on. He can't see much from his position. The world is slanted and shaded rosy from the blood as soldiers disappear left, right and center into the thick greenery. By this point Gohan's sure that his head might just pop off. His hand reaches out to tap at the ground to show his surrender, to show his compliance. "Oh, give me a break," she says, but gives him leniency all the same. The pressure lessens just enough for Gohan to get one good splutter out. Another cough follows as his hand rings around his throat in a bid to encourage a better oxygen flow. When he's hoisted up like a rag doll, he yelps, choking on the fresh air. What are you doing? How would you like to get to where we're going? Would you like to walk like a respectable individual, or would you rather me carry you like the baby mortal you are? I'm 17. Oh, in what years? Earth. She clicks her tongue. An infant, tch, less than. You know Earth. Gohan questions. Okay. Put me down. I'll walk. She does, and he immediately pulls away from her, bristling. The captain doesn't so much as make a move to retrieve him, and that unsettles Gohan just a bit. She's clearly very confident in her own prowess, understandably so considering she just managed to floor him in less than 5 minutes. Maybe if he'd been fighting seriously he could have caused some damage. Whilst he hadn't been using a fraction of his full strength, something tells him it wouldn't have been as simple as that. He considers her as she considers him. There's something about the way she looks at him that unnerves the teenager, makes him fidget as he can't read the emotion batting about her thinned, brown eyes. This way, she eventually says. It almost sounds cordial for her, so he does as requested, lingering behind as she leads them through the density of trees. Where are we going? He asks, swatting away the leaves and branches she leaves about her trail. The Winter Pavilion, she surprisingly replies. It's not far from here. Do your best to keep up, and don't even think about making a run for it. I'll snap both of your legs before you even make it 50 feet away. Why? Gohan begins, trying his best to bounce over curled tree roots and sly thorns. Don't we just fly there? The captain whirls around and Gohan barges into her. The plane nearly smacks him in the face. We do not fly here. She snaps. This is a sacred place where only the select few may rise higher above the rest. Should I see you fly again or even think about flying, I'll make it my duty to carry you. Oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind. Sorry. I didn't mean to. Is it disrespectful to your culture or something? She pulls back a branch and Gohan swears she makes it slap him on purpose. It stings long after they pass through the next section of trees. Mortals shouldn't even be here on this sacred land, the captain chides, but flying. Not even the noblest do it so frivolously here. If you fly, then you do it with reason, not to so simply get from one place to another. Oh, I see. The teenager scratches at the back of his head. Flying long since became second nature to him. So it's aggressive. Uppity, she supplies simply, and then stops. Gohan stops too as they've finally reached the forest edge, and now find themselves looking at a grand, ivy-draped building sitting across a body of water. It's made from the similar patchwork of bricks he'd seen earlier in the forest. Perhaps this is where it had led to, perhaps this had been the building he'd earlier spotted in the distance. He approaches warily, somewhat struggling to keep up with the captain and her no-nonsense speed. A little key use wouldn't go amiss here. Actually, they'd be able to get up to the entryway up ahead much quicker if they just used their energy, even if Gohan's energy seems to not be cooperating quite as well as usual. Perhaps it's this place. Perhaps the sacred life force of this planet has something off about it, something which knocks the control of Ki. Or maybe it was that tree. Gohan brushes a hand through his hair, dismaying. Everything about all of this makes him horribly uneasy, chiefly how the captain keeps looking back at him to make sure that he's still following. Gohan coughs awkwardly. So, are there any special culture rules here? He then asks just to be polite. She turns and gives him an unimpressed look. And no, I'm being serious. It goes ignored and he starts to feel anxious. Last night had just been as normal a night as any, so how he's ended up on this mystery planet or realm is a complete mystery to him. Did someone use the Dragon Balls? Did Kibito Kai bring him here? Just what's going on? He frowns, feeling a little sick. Hopefully his family aren't too worried about him, and he just prays that he'll get some answers soon. From the conversation he'd overheard between the captain and those soldiers, they're off to meet a lord. Either the meeting will answer some of Gohan's questions or his knuckles crack in anticipation. Gohan swallows the discomfort. No, it won't come to that. He'll be fine. The Lord will assist Gohan, surely, he will. He looks up and drinks up the image of the structure. The place is pretty big, with its looming, magnificent archways, ones that angle dramatically against the lilac sky and disappear into small points at the top. Gold delicately spirals around the build, coating the brown in that strange, spotted language he'd seen earlier. Can you read it? Asks the captain. She's wearing that strange look again. Gohan doesn't like it. He hates the way her eyes pierce him with questions no asked. No, I can't. She hums thoughtfully, petting the arch and turning to admire the splendor of the foreboding architecture. I'm surprised you didn't put up more of a fight. Usually you mortals are quite feisty. Why fight if we don't have to? Gohan asks. Another long stare follows and the teenager just has to look away. Why does she keep doing that? Awkwardly, Gohan focuses upon the ugly, brass door they're now approaching. It cuts into the wall of ivy and into the purple, curling flowers and neatly presses against the stonework. Gohan can tell it's old just from the condition of it. Discolor kisses the corners, growing sporadically like vitiligo exploring the skin. It leaks upwards against the metal as wears and tears cut into the fine design, marring the polished home place of more swirls and dots. A matching set of windows neighbor the door, but Gohan can't see inside. If anything, it looks dark and abandoned, offering little in the way of what to expect. His gut instinct tells him not to enter, to run away no, to fly away, but he supposes that he may just get answers to his questions faster should he cooperate. Then, the door opens and an ocean of black beckons him in. Oh, I'm not sure about this. After you, she says as Gohan lingers about the entryway. He nods, brows creased. They knot together against the crispy dried blood. It's kind of dark in here, he tells her, unsure, but takes a step into the room regardless. There's an eeriness to the shady nature of the room. Gohan can't see beyond an arm's reach as he scuttles ever deeper into the building and further away from the natural light outside. Whilst he's not at all the scaredy cat he'd been as a little boy, he's still not overly fond of being stuck in dark unknown places with ruthless strangers. Still, it oddly annoys him when he hears her laugh from behind. Baby mortal afraid. No. He lies, and takes a bigger step just to prove her wrong. That's when crunching begins to echo throughout the chamber, growling underfoot. Gohan startles backwards as he feels the floor vertebrate, loosening and crumbling beneath his toes as he checker bounces back to where he'd started. Oh yes, it's quite old. Do be careful, she remarks as she takes a path east of the entrance. Gohan glares at the back of her armor as she moves. Why yes, thanks. He keeps close to her, shadowing her in the black. Not even the light from outside can see them now, and the only thing he can pick up is the smell of damp, decaying wood. Flying would be the common sense approach to this, but he doesn't want her to get angry with him again. Even mentioning it might cause an adverse reaction. So he copies her steps, jumping after she does, tiptoeing in her stead. Only when she gestures for him to go through yet another door first does he have a problem. I don't trust you, he tells her honestly. She laughs. It sounds foreign after hearing her grunt and snarl at him over the last hour or so. Excellent, then you're not as stupid as I'd thought. But I don't really have the time or patience for your complaining, so I would appreciate you just doing as asked. Asked or told. We're moving deeper into this decrepit fort. There's no one else here. Gohan says. You could be taking me into a trap. Of course I'm taking you into a trap. What? You're my prisoner, not my travel companion. Get moving. Gohan swivels, his foot slamming through rotted wood. You're kidding me. Look, mortal, I'm taking you to my lord. You've piqued my interest just enough for me not to slaughter you where you stand. Why not count your blessings? The teenager hits a fist against the doorframe behind, shaking the fragile building hard. It groans as dust rains down from the ceiling. I just woke up here. He shouts. I woke up, stumbled around for a bit until I was attacked by a tree. Then I ran into you only to be attacked again, and now you're taking me down into your lair for what I don't know. I already told you that I have no idea what I'm doing here. I don't even know how I got here, or why I'm here. This is like the Kai world, right? I know the Supreme Kai, or rather, Kibito Kai. You can ask him. Did you say a tree attacked you? Gohan stiffens at the new voice. It dwells from beyond the door he'd just refused to enter. Lord Rixus, the captain greets. The chasm of black offers a pair of gold lights, twinkling dangerously together in the gloom. A long moment passes for the teenager to realize that he's actually looking at a pair of eyes. They pierce into Gohan's in a manner he's never quite seen before, unsettling him to his very core as their shrill, golden glow steals his breath away. And suddenly, a light flickers between them and Gohan finds himself a breath away from a hovering ball of ki. It's not at all dangerous, gifting the drab surroundings a yellow radiance, highlighting the faces of everyone in the space and emitting a warm waft as it does so. It's the Lord's energy which doesn't feel hostile whatsoever, it almost feels inviting, cozy, warm after a long day in the snow. It feels like home. The Lord bounces forward, moving impossibly close and into Gohan's space. He's quick to grab at Gohan's shoulder with immeasurable strength. The man's voice shakes. What the? The Lord doesn't look anything like a lord at all. He's a tall man, firm with muscle of which protrudes under sun-kissed skin. His clothes are raggedy and not lord-like at all, making this lord look less like nobility and more like an everyday college student Gohan's seen loitering about Satan City. Under the shaggy mop of blonde hair, those unbelievably intense spheres of gold balloon in utter shock. They grow and wobble, pinning Gohan. Then the unthinkable happens. Two hands grasp either side of the teenager's cheeks. No, the Lord breathes, squeezing them. Impossible. That's what I said, comments the captain. So do you think? I don't know. Gohan tries to pull free of the grasp, but like the woman, the man is inhumanely strong. He cranes the teenager's face in order to get a better look, devouring Gohan's terrified expression with rapid interest. A trick, Lord Rixus? She asks. Gohan tries to turn to look at her, to see if she's wearing that curious expression she'd been wearing near enough the entire time he'd been in her company, but the brutish hold on him is stubborn. The teenager tries between squashed cheeks. Do you think you can let go now? The man, Lord Rixus, starts and looks like he won't move for an instant, but then the hands slowly pull back, falling against Gohan's reddened skin. His golden expression is warped by the twist of confusion, the flickering of his eyes, the way he seems to drink in Gohan's face with unnerving intensity. Leave us, he finally whispers. Gohan originally thinks that he's referring to him and goes to move, feeling lighter at the idea of it, but is grasped by his upper arm by the Lord as the captain silently disappears into the shadows. They seem to perpetually go on forever, making him feel exceedingly more trapped by the second. If it gets weird, then I'll just have to blow my way out of here, mysteriously affected key or not. The vice around his arm pulls Gohan through the door without so much giving him the choice, the dark rupturing around them as the ball of ki follows through the thin passageway. It bounces between the walls, lighting candles as it goes. Look, Gohan attempts, there's been a mistake. I didn't mean to trespass here. I just woke up. I'm really sorry if I've caused some prob. They've now reached another door, one equally as grand and impressive as the entrances had been. Really? I'm sore. Where are we going? It opens and Lord Rixus drags him through and into a world of light. It's actually so bright that Gohan flinches, his hand automatically reaching up to shield against the offending break of daylight. Beside the door they'd just entered sits an assembly of windows, ones that don't look as tired as the ones he'd earlier seen but equally as ancient. Wherever they are now isn't at all dilapidated. It's an old-fashioned drawing room, one littered with books and papers. However, with its masses of bookshelves and desks, it's probably more akin to a study if not for the alcove of armchairs poised together in ready for congregation. As he's dragged onwards, Gohan nearly trips over a stack of scrolls. Was that a secret entrance or something? Lord Rixus continues to ignore him, but does manage to deposit him into a wooden chair. Crack. A fist then launches into the space beside Gohan, sending cracks rocketing in every direction. The teenager frazzles. Another punch is aimed towards the opposing side of him and Gohan jumps again. The severity of raw power being emitted from this guy is just astounding. Lord Rixus leans in close, unnervingly so. Gohan feels breath beating down on his face, but he refuses to look away. Even as those eyes pin him and make him squirm, Gohan doesn't wilt. His dad raised him better than that. He steals his gaze. Momentary silence hangs between them, thick with tension. But when Gohan goes to speak, he's interrupted unexpectedly with a string of foreign words. The Lord speaks at him rapidly in a language Gohan doesn't recognize. The wisps and rolling syllables make his head spin. I don't understand, he says, ignored as the Lord goes on and on. The words become louder and Gohan has to shout again as the Lord grows frantic. Suddenly, the words come to a halt, and Lord Rixus appears utterly anguished. He presses forehead low against Gohan's, of who sits in quiet horror. Finally he speaks once more. You've come home, brother. Brother. Gohan recoils from the man. Whoa, too close, he says, slipping left and under Lord Rixus' arm, stumbling sideways and nearly over a heap of books piled high. The Lord turns and watches him with that ever-hungry gaze. I know it's you, Lord Rixus then says, only narrowly missing Gohan's arm by millimeters. He follows the teenager past a row of bookcases and over to a nearby window. Somehow they've ended up at least 4 or 5 stories high above the forest. Brother, I know it's you. I'm not stupid. Look, you've got the wrong idea. Gohan replies. I just woke up here in this place and I want to go home back to Earth. You know it, right? The Lord halts, downright confused. Earth. Planet Earth, he tries. The captain had known it. You're important, right, sir. I just want to get home and back to my family. Lord Rix's face twists almost comically. The passionate gold about his eyes dims into something easier to palate and he breathes out a laugh, one wrought with nerves. Oh my god, what did you just call me? Sir. Gohan blanches. Is that rude? Shoal. Brother Mori. Lord Rixus interrupts. What are you saying? Earth. You, just where have you been? We thought you were D. No, I'm Gohan. He bats his hands. My name is Gohan and I'm from Earth. Another hand grabs at the teenagers, mid-flap. Brother, Lord Rixus repeats with a heavy look. He pushes forward, forcing Gohan further and further back against the window. Little brother, you're alive. Painfully uncomfortable, Gohan presses firm against the window frame, eyeing up the possible escape route of greenery in the distance. He'll fly if he has to. With how intensely this weirdo is looking at him, it might just escalate into something more. I'm really sorry. There's been some kind of mistake here. I'm not this Mori guy, he attempts cordially as he tries to pull his hand back. Lord Rixus doesn't even flinch. My name is Gohan. I'm from planet Ear. What are you talking about? Mori, we have your mask. How did you? Gohan tugs harder against the grasp. I'm not your brother. When Lord Rixus reaches out for his face, Gohan withdraws with such force that he feels something in his wrist crack. He hisses and is only finally released after another firm jolt, one which plummets him hard against the window itself, and hard enough for it to smash. Gohan falls through before the Lord can even react. Glass flies everywhere as Golden Eyes watch in shock as the teenager descends, widening ever more as Gohan struggles to summon his ki. The image of the Lord becomes smaller and smaller as Gohan drops. The young man tries to call upon his energy. He attempts to fly, to catch his footing, but finds that his ki is, yet again, not cooperating. Just as a flicker starts to emerge, Gohan feels something hard hit the back of his head. He blacks out. Age 780. 6 years later. Orange Star High School, Satan City, Earth. This is the third time, Mr. Sun, that I've had you in my office this week. I feel like I'm seeing you more than I see my own wife these days. The principal pushes up his glasses as he stares at the raggedy teenager from the other side of his desk. He waves a piece of paper about with dramatic flair. According to this, you drew a very realistic drawing of Miss Staples on the blackboard, one where she was. That's not right, offhands the teenager, casually slouching in. What he sees is his chair. She's totally wearing a coconut bikini set. I have some class, sir. The principal slams the paper down, coughing. Goten-san. Blatant disrespect in this school is not tolerated. Miss Staples should not have to be worried about how you're going to cause havoc in her classroom week after week. Your attitude is atrocious and your grades aren't much better. Coconut bikini or not, you do not use school-funded materials to draw anything you fancy wherever you like. Would you behave like this at home? Goten wilts, retorting under his breath, which one? The principal pauses, flashing Goten the sickening look of sympathy he gets whenever it comes to calling his parents. Goten doesn't get it. It's not a big deal. Really, it isn't. He sinks lower into the chair, arms crossed and lip pulled upwards. If you're gonna call one, then call my dad, he then instructs, digging his hand deep into a thick set of spikes. They could hardly be called spikes now as they spill over and are nearly long enough to be pulled back into a ponytail. No doubt the school will bitch at him about that too. Call your dad. After last time I think we'll try your mother. Goten groans. Not my mum, please. I'll take the detentions, the cleanup duties, anything. But the number has already been dialed and the phone now neatly presses beside the principal's chubby cheek. Perhaps you should have thought about this before. Hello, yes, is this Mrs. Sun? Hello, yes, this is Principal Wargrove. Sorry to be interrupting your day, but we have goat, yes, again. A look is spared upwards at the teenager, one received with a scowl and awkward shuffle. That's right. Yes. Godin rubs his face, groaning. God, they may as well just be friends with how much they yammer on the phone every time. As the chunky, idiotic principal relays Godin's misdeeds, he allows himself to sulk and slightly regret his actions, if only for being caught. One of the girls in his class must have ratted him out again. He's not exactly the most popular with them, as Thankx now must have dated nearly half of the class by now, making most of them turn on Godin like he's the one that discarded them after a week. Being best friends with a playboy isn't exactly what it's cracked up to be. He thinks this as he notices a mop of lavender-colored hair bob behind the glass of the office's door. Godin snorts. Thankx is going to have a front row seat to his best friend's slaughter. Yet, it doesn't come. The phone hangs up and the principal looks visibly disappointed. Your mother can't come, he says sourly as Godin mentally thanks his luckiest stars. But she's sending a family friend to take you home. A family friend, the principal grumbles, coughing to clear his throat again. Clearly a smoker. Yes. Consider yourself lucky for now, but she sounds equally as frustrated as we are, Godin. Just when are you going to grow out of these juvenile pranks? Godin lolls his head back, already clocking out as the long-winded speech about maturity and schooling is rabbled at him. He nearly falls asleep. Only when the principal's chair scrapes out does Godin jolt to his senses. You've got some growing up to do, young man, he says simply, standing. His bespectacled gaze turns over to where Thankx is hiding. The purple blip seems to have gone unnoticed, however, as the principal's attention is now focused on the new individual entering the room. Godin turns too, before swiveling back around and covering his face, mortified. The person strides past Godin and his cherry-colored cheeks and straight over to the principal. They shake hands. I was covering a case a block over, so Mrs. Sun asked me to come over. Miss Satan, wow, it really has been a long time. The sad, old dolt for a principal gushes as he jumps in glee. What a geezer. I haven't seen you since your graduation. Yeah, it's been a long time, Vital replies, the school hasn't changed much. It's a shame we have to meet under these, she angles a pointed look at Godin, circumstances. To his credit, Godin does appear red-faced and ashamed. Calling Vital from work was a dirty move on his mother's part. No bother, the principal brushes over. It's so blatantly obvious he's star-stuck, disgusting considering Vital used to be a student here herself. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? No, that's all right, she says, folding her arms and tapping her fingers over her blazer. She's still in her work clothes, so she really must have just dashed out of whatever office she'd just been in. It's the only time Godin sees her in a skirt, as her law office has a strict dress to intimidate attitude Vital loathes to abide by. She's still new at the firm, so she's trying not to ruffle any feathers just yet, something which Godin knows must absolutely be killing her. Yet, here Vital Satan is in all her glory, bare-legged and 4 inches taller in heels. Godin does not disapprove. He watches on as the principal and Vital exchange sickly sweet pleasantries, trying not to barf as she actually signs a yearbook for him. They joke, laugh and reminisce. The entire display is enough to make Godin nauseous. Okay, I best get this menace home, she finally announces. Her hand slaps lightly at the back of his head, signaling that it's time to make their great escape. Her smile is forced. She probably hates being here about as much as he does. I'm sure his mother has a lot she wants to say to him. Of course, though I'm sorry to have to drag you away from work. It must be very taxing to work in law. It'll be worth it in the end. She shoves at Goten's shoulders to hurry him along, before then addressing him with a harsh whisper. Your better half is still outside. I think he's worried that your mum was going to come in and murder you where you stand. Count yourself lucky that it's me and not her. Yeah, he says, trying to swallow a laugh as he lets her push him through the door. Do feel free to drop by, Miss Satan, calls the principal in a disgustingly sickly sweet voice. God, he's probably her biggest fan or something. It would be wonderful for you to give a speech to the stud. Yeah, okay, thanks for everything. I'll make sure he gets home. Bye. The door slams shut behind them and Vital breathes a long sigh. Her gaze turns murderous. I hate coming here, she growls once she knows the creepy old fart can't hear them. Thankx, who has come from out of hiding, laughs quietly as Vital clip-clops down the hallway in those pretty heels of hers. They follow submissively in her steed. Goten spots Thankx looking at her inappropriately and gives him a hard shove. She whisks around. Why do you keep pulling stuff like this, Goten? She demands of him, you're going to make your mum go into cardiac arrest one of these days. Are your little pranks worth 5 minutes of laughter from your friends but hours worth of headaches for the rest of us? Thankx has his back. He drew a picture. Chill out, Vital. I'd get it if he'd stink bomb the cafeteria again. Goten barks a laugh. His friend ignores him. Or if he streaked in class again, or spiked the teacher's coffee. Nah man, that was you. Thankx's brows shoot up. It was. Vital groans. Seriously, guys, is it so hard not to just keep your head down and do your work? I get straight as, Thankx informs with a painfully smug smirk. The entire thing strikes Goten of Vegeta. It's annoying. Goten doesn't know how he does it all. Thankx never studies. Never. He's always out with different girls, hanging out with the kids in his class, or causing mayhem with Goten, but never does he have to deal with the crap Goten has to endure, and never has he ever seen the smug ass pick up a book. Don't look salty, Goten, Thankx goads. God, if Vital wasn't here he'd plant his face into the floor. Your biggest problem is that you got caught. No, Vital admonishes, his biggest problem is that he did it in the first place. I had to leave mid-meeting to come over here. Goten suspects that Vital isn't actually that angry about having to leave, knowing very well how much she hates the bureaucracy of her job. Regardless, he knows he should apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't think my mum would send you to come get me. She scoffs. Yeah, well, here I am. Goten can tell she's not really being grumpy. She's trying not to smile the entire way to her jetcopter. When he gets in, Goten makes sure not to slam the door like her normally does, and Thankx does the same. I'm not taking both of you, Vital says from the pilot's seat. Thankx leans back against the leather, slimy. Don't be like that, are you really gonna make me fly? You say it like it's a chore, she grumbles as she turns the key. Goten watches her eyes darken in a flicker as she seems to recall something Goten can only guess to be a time when she, too, could fly. Vital hasn't been able to fly for years now. She jolts her shoulders, pepping herself up, and presses a button on the dashboard. The beast roars to life, and with a single glance back at Goten's cheeky best friend, Vital stares into Thankx's unwavering gaze. A battle of will commences. Eventually, she sighs, knowing a lost battle when she sees one. Fine, I'll take you too, but don't tell your mum that I let you leave school early. Thankx laughs. Pa, she won't care. Vital shakes her head, dismayed as she pulls at the steering wheel. They hover into the sky smoothly. You're both spoiled brats, you know. Thankx leans up, almost manic in his amusement. Coming from you. Are you hearing this, Goten? Goten only hums, daring to go against neither of them. They're both forces to be reckoned with. Should he even say a whisper against Vital, then he knows for sure that he'd be the one kicked out of this hunk of metal, forced to fly in the searing summer heat. Yeah, no thanks. The jetcopter climbs higher and higher until the school and city become mere speckles in a sea of gray bellow. Most of the journey is blanketed in a comfortable silence. Trunks seems content messaging whatever ABC girl he's trying to sweet talk, and Vital's eyes are firmly glued to the flight path. Maybe a little too firmly now that Gohan thinks about it. There's a sharp crease between those usually bright blue eyes of hers. She's clearly concentrating on something unsaid. Gohan watches, a little lost in how she maneuvers her fingers across the many buttons and switches on the dashboard. She eventually flicks a switch, one which fills the vehicle with the loud shredding of guitars, and throat-ripping screaming. Gohan bursts out laughing when Trunks drops his phone from the shock. What the hell, Vital? Trunks bellows over the noise. She can't hear him as she sings along with what Gohan thinks barely constitutes as music. Trunks, in retaliation, kicks Goten's school bag into the back of the pilot's chair. A one-finger salute is offered in return. Goten laughs and laughs as Vital screams along with the music up until the moment they land. When she turns off the engine, she's laughing too. It suits her. It really suits her. You're a shit driver and a worse singer, Trunks snipes as he drags his ass out of the jetcopter. He's probably only moody because he couldn't find his phone again until they'd landed, and Vital takes zero pity as she pretends to cry on his behalf. Trunks flips her off as he throws his own bag over his shoulder. Absolutely no respect, you little punk. Vital calls after him, but she's smiling all the same. Goten turns when she catches him staring. A hand reaches up and ruffles his hair. Yes, up, he's taller than her, not that would stop her from beating down on him. And you need to go kiss your mother's ass for the next hour before dinner. I don't want to deal with her being in a bad mood tonight. Goten bats at her hand. You're staying for dinner. Didn't your mum tell you? We planned it last week. No. Wow. Look at it all making sense to why it was me to come and get you from school. Come on, kiddo, I don't want to hang around the entryway all day. This place makes me uneasy. Kiddo. Goten frowns. With hands shoved into his pockets, he follows her down the gravelly walkway. This is the closest Vital is authorized to park to their home, something which makes her trips to their neck of the woods even rarer than before they'd moved. The occasional and sporadic fires are also a huge off-put to visitors, including Vital, who'd once lost a previous jetcopter to the flames. Goten scratches at the back of his head, sighing. They don't call it Fire Mountain for nothing. The entryway boasts a grand archway that they have to walk through each time they want to enter the kingdom. Goten moved here with his mother only 3 years ago, but it feels like he's been there forever. Guards are posted everywhere and scrutinize his every coming and going, allowing Goten zero privacy. He can't even count how many times he's had falling outs with them over breaking curfew. What the heck is it to them if Goten wants to come back after dark? Yes, the guards surrounding the Ox Kingdom are annoying to say the least. However, it's the swooping walls around the city which makes feel Goten the most trapped. It's a no-fly zone for all, including him, jetcopters and planes alike. His grandpa had once told him it's because the residents are a superstitious bunch, and that they don't like outsiders too much, trusting no one not in their circle and having very little respect for the powers outside of their small world. No wonder the kids at Goten's school think he's in a cult. How you do this daily I have no idea. Vital sighs as she signs her name in the guestbook. The guard station is filled with sour-looking attendants. They don't even smile at him, the grandson of their bleeding king. You too, grunts one guard, pointing his ballpoint pen at Trunks. I'm here, like, all the time. You too. Trunks snatches the pen. Christ. Relentless. You lot, aren't you? Here. I've signed your friggin' book. Goten awkwardly nods his head to the collection of security. In perfect unison, they all frown in an impressive chain reaction. Lovely, Vital comments, discarding her own pen. She doesn't bother collecting it from the floor when it misses the table. Come on, let's go. God forbid they smile at us and make us feel welcome. I hate this place, Trunks complains, banging open the gate leading into the main courtyard. It's a place barren of any greenery, with torches of fire ensnaring the open yard in a circle of foreboding orange. Dismal grays and browns of the building are occasionally infiltrated with the daring surprise of flowers, but mostly it's just the dourness of brimstone and concrete which greets him each and every day after school. Except for weekends and alternating Wednesdays. The huge castle is oddly depressing compared to the rest of the kingdom. Gohan knows that outside the strict grounds the people live in quaint, modest homes surrounded by the wild of the countryside. He goes there sometimes to eat at the restaurants. Now that his mother cooks less due to an overbearing chef, Gohan struggles to find a decent meal these days. Some of the servants gawkily lower their heads at him, and Gohan knows it must kill them to do so. They've hated him since the moment they moved into this prison. The group finally makes it up to the foyer of the castle after tackling the long staircase. And right at the main door, his mother waits for him, looking absolutely livid. Gohan son, she seethes, this is the 5th call this month. Why are you so desperate to shame this family any further? Gohan goes to open his mouth but Trunks gives him a swift gut punch, silencing him. His mother advances upon him so fast that Godan's sure that she must be secretly a Super Saiyan 2. A finger stabs into his chest before he's even recovered from Trunks' deft assault. You listen here, young man, if I so much as hear another whisper from your school before the semester is out, then I'll make sure you never look at another screen again until you're 18. None of that social media stuff, no emailing friends or calling girls. Trunks snorts back a laugh. Girls? Gohan can practically hear his best friend question. His mother sends Trunks one of her darker looks too, one which makes him recoil ever so slightly behind Vital, the coward. I'm going to tell your father not to let you use your phone this weekend, she continues briskly, not even sparing a second for breath. Her face is red, nearly purple. I'm going to tell him to break it and to hide the pieces, and to not let you out of his sight even just the once. The reception is crap out there anyway, but he's not about to tell her that. And I don't care what you say, you're going to train with your father. Gohan jumps at that. What? No, I don't wanna. See it as your punishment, she huffs, color slowly fading from her face. Godan's patent dread is somehow easing the dragon's wrath. In the background, he knows Trunks is trying his best not to laugh. Yeah, it's funny to him right now because it's Gohan being forced to train. If it was him, then Gohan would have to listen to the guy bitch all day long. Vegeta is equally as obsessed with training as his dad, and equally as obsessed with dragging his kid into it. Erg, I hate it, Gohan complains, scratching the back of his head. I don't care, she snaps, maybe this'll teach you not to cause havoc at school. It won't be so bad, Vital then chimes in, taking off her blazer. It's hung up in its usual spot by the door. When was the last time you even trained with Goku? Gohan grumbles, shrugging. Usually when he goes to his dad's he just hangs about the house as his dad goes out and beats up boulders or whatever he does when he trains. I hope it is that bad, his mum goes on to say, hands on hips. I hope you dislike every minute of it just so it teaches you a lesson. The more I hear from your school, then the more I'll make sure your father knocks some sense into you. How's that fair? Well, you can take it up with him. He's coming to dinner tonight, so I'll get to tell him what a delinquent you've become. He scoffs in her face. Yeah, if he comes. The reaction is immediate. Godan's son. Right, I'm sorry. Look, can I go drop my stuff off in my room now? His mother growls and he takes that as his chance to leave, ignoring the stream of shouting following him up a set of stairs leading to his room. Trunks loyally follows, head low. Gohan hears his mother's fury even after he slams the door closed. Oh, She's getting soft, Trunks comments. He wastes no time in flopping down hard on the king-size bed. Pillows bounce up in reaction. Goten sheds his backpack and starts changing out of his school clothes. A top is whisked off. You call that getting soft? Dude, she's sending you to your dad's. He grunts, throwing the top at Trunks' stupid head. Because she knows how much I hate it. It's not that bad. You get to do what you want. Your dad doesn't care at all about the school stuff. He'll probably find the drawing thing from today really funny. Which would be fine if I didn't have to spend all my time at the mausoleum. Trunks snorts, I guess. The mausoleum is what both he and Trunks call the old Sun family house because it's basically just that. It's a tomb of memories and good times. The place remains unchanged, except for the buildup of mess his dad can't stay on top of. A cleaner goes round every Tuesday to help out courteous of Bulma, but otherwise there's little in the way of development there. Goten's childhood room is the same, the kitchen is the same, the living room is also the same, but it now feels empty. People are missing. New memories can't be born there. It's flat, dead. The happy occasions there had been buried long ago along with. Goten grits his teeth, brows heavily pointed. He grabs a fresh jersey and jeans. Dad won't even come tonight, Goten growls as he snags up his jeans. He nearly topples over the skew of mess on the carpet, and a clutter of pens and sketchbooks go flying. The contents of his desk also take a fall. You know, he never visits. I don't know why she bothers. Goten hears Trunks from his lounging spot on the bed as he collects his belongings from the floor. I dunno. Free food. The Sun teenager picks up an entanglement of wires and earphones, chuckling. Yes, some things never change. He then picks up an old, dusty picture frame. A gust of breath leaves him, sending the prickles of gray floating about the room. 4 smiling faces from the picture stare back. Some things do, however. Dinner could have been a difficult affair, but it's not. His mother seems to have forgiven Goten's earlier transgressions, for now at least, and is attempting to make polite conversation with him. She asks about his club activities and he gets to lie and tell her how much the science club has improved his studies. For one, Goten is failing science, and 2, he never joined science club, instead opting for the fine arts program. Should his mother find out, then Goten knows that he'll be utterly screwed. He watches Trunks smirk into the next bite of his meal when Goten fabricates an experiment they did last week. There's an elaborate explanation involving wild hand gestures and reenactments. So yeah, he finishes lamely, that's about it, really. Wow, Vital says flatly, clearly not swallowing his shit, they didn't have clubs like this when I went there. Things change, Trunks says around a mouthful of food, waving his chopsticks around. Some people say that the school is on the up, you know. No, I don't. Goten coughs. Yeah, well, so basically, Mum, the experiment was a success and my hypothesis. Hypothesis, Trunks corrects. Yeah, that was right in the end. There's a beat of silence at the table and Goten's faced with an audience of different reactions. Trunks is smugly poking at a lump of rice as he tries not to make direct eye contact with Goten. Vital has the emptiest stare Goten's ever seen. And his mother. Oh, my baby is going to be a scientist. I can feel it. Her hands clap together as her eyes positively sparkle. The grievances of today seem to have gone forgotten completely as her face glows with pride. After all these years, Goten knows exactly what she wants to hear. Trunks feeds it. Oh, a scientist. Golly, I'd pay to see that, Vital also adds after another mouthful. His mother doesn't catch the dryness of either of them, salivating over the very unlikely dream of Goten becoming a scholar. In turn, he finishes his 8th bowl of egg noodles and adds it to the stack as he stares yonder the 4 walls of the room. Beyond the bowls he looks at the door left ajar. It leads out of the dining room and into the hallway where another guest was expected to turn up 10 minutes ago. Goten catches his mother looking too. He won't say anything. He's above that. Another bowl of noodles is taken. And how are you doing, Vital? How's work? Asks Mum. She leans over the table, still riding the high of Goten's story. You're working over at Orange and Company, aren't you? I saw it on the television yesterday. They say it's a really prestigious law firm. Yes. She responds. Her cheeks are quick to turn rosy, and her eyes cast down at the mountain of food that she'd been served earlier. My friend, a college friend, helped me secure a place. His uncle runs it, and he's interning there too, so we're kind of in it together. Oh, that's nice, although I'm sure your father's connections would have been more than enough to get you any position you wanted. Absolutely no tact as usual, Mum. Vital doesn't seem at all fazed. It's nice to do it through my own networking, she offhands, and even though it's strict there, I feel like there's so much I can learn from the guys at Orange and Company. They've worked a lot with the local council and police, so it's kind of ideal for me to get my foot in the door there. His mother beams. Well, I for one think it's excellent that you've got your eyes on the prize, Vital. You worked hard all through school and now it's paying off. You should be very proud of yourself. God, why do her words feel so pointed? Whoever could she be making a dig at? Goten glares as he slurps his noodles. Trunks spares his food from his onslaught for a brief moment. Do you get murder cases? No, just petty crimes. I'm shadowing really. And then he goes back to his food, attention lost. Goten's is not, however. Do you wa murder ka-s? Swallow your food, Goten, his mother chides. He gulps down the oily blandness of today's meal. Do you want murder cases? No, if I'm being honest. I want to deal with cases surrounding. Let me guess, Trunks interrupts, scraping his plate clean, you want to help inner city kids. You want to help the impoverished youth. Vital bristles. Yeah, and so what if I do? You're such a stereotype, Vital. His mother feels no shame in berating him too. Trunks. It's true, he chuckles, and then reaches for another heaping of rice. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, geez. It's beautiful, breathes Mum, still sharply focused on his best friend. Trunks does best to keep his head low. And it's noble. Helping people is exactly what She pauses. All three pairs of eyes turn and pinpoint on his mother. He goes to reach for her hand, but she's quick to pull away, smiling. A faint pat against his fingers is offered. Well, it would have been. They all exchange glances before slowly returning to their meal. Goten's appetite dies the moment he looks back down at the sludge of food. The slick sheen of oil almost reflects his pulled lips right back at him. Actually, Vital comments next, tone thin, uncertain. Whilst we're on an uncomfortable topic, I think I should say what I need to say. Well, what I've needed to tell you guys for a while actually. Goten gives her his full attention, leaning over the mahogany and scraps of food. Her twisting face contorts as she wrestles her next words out. They seem to lodge in her throat. What is it, dear? Even Trunks looks interested. Vital grimaces, tugging hard at the end of her plaited hair. He recalls her looking anxious back in the jetcopter. Is this what it had been all about? What has she come to say? Okay, Satan, just say it, she instructs. The blues of dazzling, fierce eyes reinforce into their usual diamond hardness, and she finally addresses his mother most of all. Chi, I'm seeing someone. What? Goten's mouth drops, and he becomes so still that his limbs may have just turned to stone. It's Trunks' rare and open concern that brings him back to reality. Finally, Mum also regains herself. She dabs at her lips with grace befitting a princess. Her face gives nothing away, but they can all sense it. Seeing someone. Why yes, Vital replies, probably louder than intended. Oh, his chest hurts a bit. Why does his chest hurt? And, Vital stands. The scraping of her chair echoes about the cold room. Paintings of the Ox Kings of the past watch down with their disconcerted gazes. And were engaged. Age 774. 6 years previous. Question mark. Everything is quiet. Until it isn't. Roaring of machines, mechanical beeping, multiple people speaking all blend together in a frustrating concoction that makes Gohan's head spin. At first he thinks that Goten must have turned the TV up to max volume again, or dad is getting an earful from mother. Only when someone starts shouting right beside him in a language he can't place does he know something is off. Gingerly, he opens his eyes and is taken blind by the brightness. He winces, turning his head. What's going on? Where is he? Is this his room? Just why is it so bright? When his eyes adjust, he realizes fairly quickly that he's not snug at home in bed, and the comforts of his room suddenly seem a million miles away. The room is a clinical white, at least from what he can see. Glossy silver curtains have been draped around Gohan's bed, only allowing for a small fraction of the room to be seen. From what he can see, there's a strange computer beside him, offering that trying beeping he can still hear. The rhythm is smooth, reminding Gohan very much so of a heart monitor. Perhaps it is one, as he can spot the many wires dangling from his form. They pierce into his skin and into his veins. Is this a hospital? Is he sick? He opens his mouth to ask for his mother but only manages a croak. Gohan feels horribly worn out. His body feels like he'd been smacked around after a very rigorous training session with his dad. Trying his voice once more, he finds it crusty as he battles a cough. Where am I? The curtain hitches left, revealing a dark-skinned man in a long white coat. His face is stern and unrecognizable, offering little reaction other than mild surprise at Gohan's being conscious. You're awake, he announces, voice heavy with an accent Gohan does not recognize. His expression is impassive, shrewd even, making the teenager feel automatically on the defensive. He shuffles under the thin sheet as the man draws closer. How unexpected. Where, the man acknowledges him only briefly before busying himself with the computer. He taps at the flat surface in front of a monitor with wrapped fingers. To Gohan it looks like he's just hitting the desk, but it must be doing something because he can hear the man hum under his breath as he regards the screen. The shine from the monitor winks at Gohan. Your energy waves finally seem to be balancing out, which is a moderate relief. Fluctuation can be quite dangerous with readings quite as high as yours, if I do say so myself, sir. Sir, do you feel weak? Fatigued possibly? Asks the man in white, not bothering to hold his breath for Gohan's reply. That's normal. We had to administer sedative when the spiking of energy started to affect the power in the hospital. Your brother authorized it, of course. The teenager's brows crinkle. Goten, he has not long left, actually, continues the man who Gohan suspects to be a doctor of some kind. He's wearing thin surgical gloves and a plastic apron under his coat, and several polished utensils poke silver heads from out of the guy did just say something about a hospital. Gohan reaches upwards, wires dangling from his arm, as he cradles his forehead. When he tries sitting up, the probable doctor pushes him right back down. You're also suffering from a concussion. That explains the ringing in Gohan's ears, and his fuzzy memories. Just what had he been doing before this? Had he been out training with his dad or Piccolo? But that doesn't make sense, he then thinks. They'd just take him to Den to be healed if something had happened there. He shudders at another though. School had something happened at school. What? The teenager croaks. Gosh. His head hurts. What hospital is this? The doctor folds his arms, drumming his pastel blue-cladded fingers along the white. He deliberates, switching his attention between the computer and Gohan, making the teenager feel all the more self-conscious. This is the Spire Infirmary, he eventually tells Gohan. His words are slow. You've been resting here for several days now after Lord Rixus brought you in. Lord? Who? The doctor removes the gloves. There's an elastic snap. Ah yes, I almost forgot, he did mention of this strange amnesia of yours. Stay still. I'm going to check your vision for abnormalities. Any blurriness, sensitivity to light perhaps. Gohan's natural reaction is to cooperate and behave like a good patient, yet it all rings strange to him, and so he pulls away from the doctor and the medical equipment being thrust in front of his face. He coughs from the movement. It only magnifies, the doctor informs as he swivels the glassy object. I just want to check your pupils. Where's this fireplace? I don't understand. Doctor. Was I in an accident? My dad is he. Curious, so very curious, breathes the doctor. The magnifying glass retreats into his pocket, nestling just under the crest of a horse's silhouette. Then it hits him. He remembers the captain, and her matching crest, one which sat atop her plate. He remembers the forest, the tree, his key, oh God, his key, and he remembers that Lord Guy. Lord Rixus, Gohan manages, feeling weightier for even mentioning the name. The frog in his throat threatens him, rasping. The doctor doesn't react as expected. His tone is flat. Are you remembering something? I woke up here, in this world, and there was this tree, it attacked me. Again, there's very little in the way of a reaction. A tree, you say? That's rather queer even for this realm. I can't say I've ever heard of a savage tree roaming about the grounds. It did something to my key. Your key, you say? I couldn't control it aft. Another cough then takes him, this time deep and hollow. I see. Well, don't overexert yourself. There's a screeching as the curtain is dragged sideways, silvery fabric flapping madly as another looming figure is revealed. The cool ivory lighting from behind shines so brightly that it makes Gohan want to get up and punch out each individual offending bulb. He hisses, hiding behind his hands as the bulldozing force of nature blunders into the space. When the man starts to speak, does Gohan realize how quietly the doctor had been speaking, most likely for Gohan's benefit, for the next string of words are practically ear-splitting. Mori, wails the newcomer, one easily identified as the previously met Lord Rixus. He wastes no time in lumbering over to the bed and snatching at Gohan's arm. You're awake. Lord Rixus, the doctor greets. It's respectful, but an underlying annoyance goes unsaid. You gave me a hell of a fright, Lord Rixus goes on. His eyes dazzle in their golden glory. When you hit your head, wow, I've never seen one person bleed so much. Well, that's a lie if I ever heard one, scoffs the doctor, seeing as I see you in my care every other week. Lord Rixus blanks him, his eyes only for Gohan. Do you remember me now? Has it come back? This guy over here said it might. Awa, Mori, why are you looking at me like that? You look like you've got nothing rattling about up there. He turns back to the doctor with a rabid look twinkling about his expression. Doc, does he have brain damage? I don't have brain damage. I don't believe so, sir. His brain wave patterns were consistent with his previous records. Then why is he looking at me that? Mori. Gohan parrots, tone low. Lord Rixus swivels back to him with an almost hopeful look. It falls flat moments later. I'm not this guy, you've got your wires crossed or something. I've told you already, my name is Gohan. Lord Rixus sighs and combs his fingers through blonde scruffy hair. TCH. Really? Not this again. Gohan goes to say something again, but the doctor lays out a hand and turns to the loud and, if Gohan's being honest, obnoxious young man. Let's not stress my patient out any further, my lord. Damn, he breathes as he slouches beside Gohan's stretched legs. He gives the right foot a light smack. What the hell happened to you, Mori? I'm not Mori. This isn't Earth, right? I need to arg. Gohan just manages to keep the fire submerged in his throat. The more he talks, the more it burns. The doctor clicks his tongue, lightly ushering Gohan back against the plush of his pillow. That'll be the energy suppressants at work. They can cause a touch of heartburn, I'm afraid. Lord Rixus furrows his brow. You're drugging him. My thoughts exactly. Precautionary, continues the doctor. Your brother signed off on it. Brother. Another one. If the young lord didn't look worried before, he does now. He speaks slowly and deliberately. Quell's been here. Of course, my lord. Lord Rixus thumps at Gohan's feet again. How annoying. He didn't even stop by to speak with me. He wasn't here long, the doctor goes on to say. He simply checked over Lord Mori and left on business. Cold bastard, Lord Rixus says, not without amusement. The bird's nest on his head bounces as his wide, wolfish grin softens into something easier for Gohan to recognize. The Lord then turns to him with such a deep, penetrating stare which makes the teenager want to haul the sheets up and over his head. The gold is molten and so intensely warm. I'm so happy you're alive, little brother. It hurts Gohan's chest. God. He kind of wishes that he is this guy's brother just so he doesn't have to let him down. The scene reminds him of Goten, reminds him of the moments leading up to a waterworks show where it would take ages for Gohan to try and sort the little monster out. Once, after stepping on a family of snails, Goten had cried and cried for hours and nothing Gohan did could console him. He's a sweet kid, maybe a little too sweet. These tears would usually start with a wobbly lip and pink, puffed cheeks. The teenager surveys the Lord's face and feels himself pale. Oh no. Thick droplets have begun to rain down from this stranger's face, splashing down onto Gohan's covers. Oh God, he is crying. Gohan doesn't know what to do. Tissues. He needs tissues. He turns to the doctor to see that he's magically made himself absent. Air. Ah, damn. Lord Rixus wipes his eyes on the back of his sleeve. I promised Quell I wouldn't, but, shit. Gohan's heart really does hurt. This guy is sobbing and it just has to be Gohan here instead of this guy's brother who's probably most likely dead. He has to try again, to try and make this poor guy see some sense. Mistake. There's a mistake, he manages. Instead of the pain in his throat worsening, it actually seems to be easing. Gohan's unkindly reminded of the wires attached to him when he attempts to pull forward. You've hurt your head, Lord Rixus shakily tells him as he gives another affectionate pat on the leg. Those bold eyes haze over momentarily. God, I'm so happy, Mori, a snort, you're an idiot. I can't believe you, if you weren't strapped to all these machines. I'm not Mori. Gohan growls. Sympathetic or not, there's only so long that this can go on. I told you already. I'm from Earth. I don't know you or this Mori guy. I'm really sorry, okay. But I'm not your dead brother, I'm just a human, Saiyan, human Saiyan, and I just really want to get home because I'm sure my family must be really worried and please will you stop crying. The sniffling Lord purses his lips, looking more akin to a kicked puppy than the inhumane bundle of strength Gohan had witnessed last time. Lord Rixus opens his mouth only to close it again. His fingers twirl around the silky fabric of the teenager's cover, and Gohan feels himself tense up further than he already is. Mori, what's on earth? A beat of dead silence passes until a dry laugh escapes Gohan as he brushes his hands through his hair. What a mess. It's at this time that Lord Rixus stands. What a soppy mess he's turned out to be. So much for being a big, scary lord of whatever. The curtain parts for him and Gohan hears the echo of boots hitting against the floor from the other side. The sound draws from further and further away until, you really did give yourself brain damage. And then he hears nothing. He tries following after Lord Rixus. Guilt niggles at him. The poor guy is clearly delusional, he just wants his brother back, and Gohan just totally shot him down. He feels just awful. But then, the mild panic starts to set in. He didn't like the look in Lord Rixus' eyes, both the haunting gaze and the warmth. The memory of the key ball from that decrepit building hangs thickly in his mind. It had been the Lord's energy, Energy which didn't feel hostile whatsoever, it almost felt inviting, cozy, warm after a long day in the snow. It felt like home. Gohan swallows thickly. It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Surely, his dad is only moments away from bursting into the hospital room and laughing at the whole scenario. Gohan would feel embarrassed all the way home, but he would manage to crack a smile at dinner about it. Yeah, that all sounds about right. Gohan breathes. He just has to wait. A short time later, the same doctor from earlier returns with several other, what Gohan assumes to be, doctors in tow. They all have a nervous glow about them as they lurk near the curtain. Don't mind them, sir. The doctor waves a hand airily. Your brother requested field specialists be present. My brother. Gohan furrowed his brows. Goten. YWOU. No. They think I'm someone else, don't they? Stupid Gohan. There's been a mistake. Gohan tries again, hoping for a better result this time. The doctor doesn't seem as thick-headed as Lord Rixus. Maybe he'll actually listen. What mistake is that? He asks softly, head tilted like he's dealing with a child. I'm not this Mori. My name is Gohan, and I'm from planet Earth, and, you've clearly made a mistake, and. Gohan's words die on his tongue as the patronizing expression on the doctor's face doesn't falter. The doctor hums and smiles almost sweetly. Gohan is alerted to the other doctors taking note in the background via their obnoxious scribbling. Are they bothering you? I can ask them to stand behind the curtain if you'd like. Some of the other doctors offer him the same sweet smile the first doctor gave. He doesn't like any of this. Where am I? He pushes. Someone said something to me about the Almagdi. You're at the spire, sir. Gohan grits his teeth. I know that. What planet are we on? Is it the Almighty? Something like the Kai's world. Some of those doctors are definitely not human. I think one's even a Namekian. Said Namekian jumps a little and leans back towards the curtain. Ignorant, the doctor leans in. Tell me more about these human. Arg. His hand swipes down his face. You've made a mistake. Gohan repeats again, his voice rising to a shout. His body is still betraying him and offers little energy to move. This is ridiculous. Where the heck is he? Tell me where I am. I'm not this Mori guy. I don't know who you people are. I'm from planet Earth, and I have no idea where your friend is, but it's not me. Just tell me what I need to know so I can actually be on my way home. A few of the doctors disappear behind the curtain, pale-faced, but the first doctor doesn't look fazed by Gohan's growing frustration. In fact, he takes a seat next to Gohan in an ivory, expensive-looking armchair. The notebook the doctor had been clutching is now placed neatly on the floor. It's come to light that even before your tumble out of a window, you've somehow experienced a severe case of memory loss, the doctor says with flippancy expected of discussing the weather. From my in-detail discussions with both Lord Rixus and his captain, I've been able to establish that this alter personality of yours seems to have lived a full life of its own before making its return to the Almighty. Do tell, just how old are you? I can't say that I'm familiar with your beloved planet Earth, but I'll try my best. You're a human, correct? Gohan's eyes lingers between the first doctor and remaining doctors in the room. This is all completely ludicrous. Just what the heck is this guy talking about? Yes, well, half. I'm also half Saiyan. Finally, the doctor offers a reaction. His eyes widen, and he turns and says something in a foreign language to one of the other doctors. The other doctor replies briskly and jots more notes down. Gohan, the doctor says, looking as though he's betraying his own tongue by uttering it. Tell me some more about yourself. Do you have a family? Gohan grunts. I'm not saying another thing until you tell me more about where I am. Eyebrows lift ever so lightly. Oh, so you do have one then. Saiyan father or mother. Surely that little information cannot bring any harm. You seem like the wary sort, maybe you've faced persecution before. Perhaps under Frieza. Gohan's voice hitches in his throat. He's dead. Well, now he is, of course. More scribbling sounds out louder than ever, and Gohan can't help the frustrated glare he shoots at the other doctors, some of who physically recoil. The first doctor sighs and peers over his shoulder. He proceeds to tell them something using that foreign language from moments ago. Authority ingrains into his words, and one by one, the other doctors leave through the silver sheet. You've never liked an audience, the doctor grumbles, curling his fingers around his thinning gray hair. I have no idea what to tell your brother when he asks why the specialists he requested were marched out like schoolboys. Gohan swallows and stares. A moment passes in silence. Look, doctor, I'm sorry for becoming agitated, but there really has been a mix-up here. I don't know what happened. The last thing I remember is going to bed on Earth, and that there was going to be an interesting lesson in history class in the morning. Then I woke up here. I'm not Mori, I'm sorry, I really am, but I'm just not him. The doctor's eyes don't leave his. Tell me, Gohan, how old are you? Huh, surely that can't be damning information. I'm 17. For the first time the doctor cracks a real smile, one of amusement. That doesn't mean much to me, I'm afraid. Do you know how old that is in standardized universal years? What the heck is that? He's never heard of it. In what? The wrinkles by his eyes became more pronounced as his smile widens. Are you a boy or a man? Gohan blanches. I'm sorry. I'm still at school if that's what you're asking. But I wouldn't say that I'm a B. Somewhere between a boy and a man then. The doctor hums. Quite fascinating. Gohan, tell me about your appearance. Describe yourself. He blanks, and eyes up the far wall as though an image of himself is going miraculously face back at him. Gohan scratches his chin and racks his brain. He's not very keen on talking about himself. I have black hair and eyes. I guess I'm kind of tall, sometimes I wear glasses when I read. The doctor is still for a moment before up and disappearing through the curtain. He returns just as quick as he'd left. Gohan's mouth goes dry when he sees what the doctor is holding. Surely not. Before Gohan had chance to protest, the mirror rises and blasts Gohan with a heck of a surprise. His gasp catches in his throat. Gohan's tired, pale face stares back at him. There's nothing different there. However, now there are two very new additions to his features. My eyes. A dazzling radiance of gold gleams back at him so brightly that Gohan feels the need to look away. Instantly, he recognizes them as the two piercing spheres of gold he'd just seen weep for him. These are the eyes of Lord Rixus. These are the eyes of someone who's not Gohan's son. They glow brilliantly like a cat in the night. They shine like gold itself. They can't be right. The doctor lowers the mirror. The gold in the reflection sets like the evening sun. They're the eyes of a god, my lord.